Hi everybody, it's January. I'm in Florida. It's beautiful warm weather, not cold and snowy up north. And normally I'd be here for the Space Coast Birding and Nature Festival here in Titusville, but this year with the COVID, unfortunately, they've decided to do not the traditional festival, but a virtual festival. So I'm here doing some videos for Time and Optics, who are our optics dealer for the Space Coast Bird Festival. I work for Swarovski Optik. And so here I am in Florida. I'm birding along and looking down there with my binocular, and oh my goodness, down on that telephone pole about a quarter-mile away, there's a beautiful adult bald eagle just sitting there. It looks gorgeous. So through my spotting scope, I can do my zooming. I can play 35, 45, 50, 60, 70 power. Oh my goodness, it is so pretty. I've got a picture of that. I really need a picture of that. If you're not an SLR guy, use your phone. And virtually any cell phone will work really well behind a scope eyepiece. And here's the trick: have some kind, you can hand hold it up there and try and get it straight and get it squared away, but it's a pain in the neck. Have an adapter that will allow you to put the phone on the scope, and boom, you can have it either vertical or you can do a horizontal shot. And it makes life so much easier because now you can worry about what the bird is doing and not what the phone is up to. One of the other really cool things about, I don't know if this works for Android phones, but definitely for iPhones, because with my scope at 70 power, I'm getting a really nice picture of the bald eagle, but he's also very jouncy, very wiggly, because at 70 power, even tiny little vibrations is going to make the image move. So what I can do is plug in my headset for my iPhone, and when the phone is in photo mode, the headset now becomes a cable release, a remote release for the camera. So now I can be looking at the bird, touching up my focus and go click, click, or touch it, slide it over, do a video, start my video. I can get pictures of the eagle preening himself, talking, whatever he wants to do, and then boom, shut it back off again. So that allows me to not have to tap on the screen to get images, the image get messed up by shake from the vibrations. That's a very cool idea. Also, you can get, like I said, I don't know if Androids do this with the headset, but with either type of phone, you can buy a remote release for Bluetooth. So same thing, you can be able to fire the thing without touching it. You can even be 10 feet away and fire your scope and the phone without actually physically contacting it. When it comes to what phone to choose, any phone should work, because basically when you're looking through your spotting scope, your human eye is seeing what's going on there, and most of the camera lenses on the phones pretty much see what the eye sees, so that's easy to do. The tricky part is getting an adapter to be able to allow this to set on there. You want to have it set flush, flat, you want to be perpendicular, you want to be centered. If you're off center, if you're a little cockeyed, you're going to get dark edges and not a nice clean smooth circle. So picking a case, an adapter case, can be important. There's a lot of different ones out there. Swarovski Optik made a series of them that were really nicely done, all metal, and they were designed to fit specifically one model phone. So when we went from an iPhone 6 to an iPhone 7, we had to come out with a new case. iPhones 8 came out, a new case. That got to be a little old and a little on the expensive side, having to buy a brand new case every time you got a new phone. So there are variable adapters out there. But there's also Phonescope, a company out of Utah that makes plastic molded cases that are much less expensive, so you can replace them as things go. One of the tricky parts about either this case or the iPhone or the Phonescope case was that your phone had to have just the bare phone and not a protective case on there, because obviously that changes the sizes and the shapes. So a lot of people want to get to see a variable or adjustable phone adapter. Well, Swarovski Optik has one we call the VPA, for variable phone adapter, and it allows me to have a phone. Here's an iPhone with a protective case on it, and I've got it sized so it just fits in, locks in place, and boom, away I go. So that's very nice. And then when I'm done with it, I can just pop my phone out, and the case retains its settings, so then next time you pull it out of the bag, you can just slide it back in there, lock it in place, and be ready to go. There are a lot of other variable phone adapters out there, but A lot of them tend to be a little on the flimsy side, so make sure you test drive one, if you will, or be able to make sure you make the settings. You can take it off, you can put it back on, and all the settings have not changed. Critical to make sure that you get your eyepiece set up right over your camera lens. And here's where it gets kind of interesting, because with nowadays most of the modern phones have multiple lenses. This one has a normal lens, a wide angle, and a telephoto. Which one do you want to put behind your scope eyepiece? Well, that's actually, the normal lens is what we usually do, but when you put it on there, what you end up getting is kind of a black image, black circle around it, just like when we see through it with our eye. So then we have to get on there and we zoom it and stuff like that. So you're fiddling with things. You should be able to put your phone on your scope and take pictures. You shouldn't have to mess with stuff. So one of the tricky parts about Apple is with the multiple camera phones, they're taking pictures with all three lenses at once and combining them into a final image. But I can only put one lens behind that scope eyepiece, so which one do I choose? I would like to do the telephoto lens, because that way I don't have to worry about the vignetting. To get that to work with Apple, you have to go to Phonescope and get their Phonescope photography app. They have a free app, download it on the phone. So instead of opening your Apple iPhone camera, you open the Phonescope camera, and that allows you to choose which lens I want. So I'll choose telephoto lens, and then once I set it in there, I've got a no image vignetting. Away I go. My cord still works, my remote release still works, all that cool stuff works. You can also, with the Phonescope app, play photography if you want and be able to choose shutter speeds and ISOs. But most people just want to run it on automatic, because really you don't want to be fiddling with your system. You want to be getting pictures of bald eagles. And I tapped it, and that's pretty much it. If you already have a scope and you already have a phone, it's figuring out how to put them together. If you have a phone but you don't have a scope, that's where you can call me, or you can call the guys at Time and Optics, talk through their options. This is the Swarovski Optik 115 millimeter. It's our brand new scope. It's a phenomenal scope. It's unbelievably cool and sharp and bright, and the image quality through it is exceptional. But you don't necessarily have to go there. But my thinking is always that any spotting scope is better than pretty much any binocular. Make sure you get a decent tripod. Make sure you have a system so you can balance the system so it's not sagging or fading or anything like that. But once you're out there with your scope looking at cool stuff, the ability to pop your phone on there and get shots is absolutely priceless. And who knows, you might be sitting there with your phone on your scope when that ivory bill woodpecker flies and lands into that tree, and you get a video that makes you famous for real, not for who knows what. So anyway, hopefully I'll see you next year at Space Coast at their new location in Port Canaveral. And in the meantime, get a hold of Time and Optics. Say you want to talk about spotting scopes, you want to talk about binoculars. They've got deals going on for the festival, and hopefully you get something you have a lot of fun with. And I'll see you next year.